That's cool. We may as well have another drink then. Yeah, let's get some drinks out. Yeah, knock them out. You can bring me one as well. So yeah, go talk to the producers. Go talk to your supplier. Try and find out who the farm is that's growing this produce. And then once you've got that, if there's something you really want to have behind your bar, in London, I always wanted to have borage. Borage was not available anywhere. You could only buy it from Holland through a company called Coppercress, until I spoke to a farmer and asked them to grow it for me. And then I had flowers to garnish my pims. It's the correct garnish for pims. I had the leaves to put in my pims to give the cucumber flavour. I didn't have to get cucumbers anymore. I had borage. But it was only done because I spoke to somebody. And then the other thing is, you know, these people are there. There are people, again, I'm pretty certain Athens has this. There is plenty of derelict land around. Certainly in Copenhagen, in New York, in lots of other cities, there are these local urban farms full of generally old people who know a hell of a lot about growing things, but don't really know what to grow. They tend to grow potatoes and shit for their wife. If you go and ask them to plant something for you, they're 99% of the time really fucking happy that somebody's paying an interest in their allotment. So you go talk to him. It's a little old man, he's retired. Give him a shot of tequila when you go there and cheer him up and ask him to grow you an ingredient. You have to go out there and get these ingredients. You can't just stand by and expect they're going to come to you. You have to go and find them. So it does take a little bit more energy. And I know a lot of people say to me, oh, I haven't got time for that shit. I've got twins, and I work in 2 different countries, and I still manage to find time to go out and do this shit. So everybody has enough time if they put it aside. Alex has enough time, and he does more than anybody else. There you go. Just thought I'd show you a picture of a farm in New York. There are farms like this all over the world. There are farms like this in Mexico City. There are in Brasilia. There are in Sao Paulo. There are ones in London all over the place. There's something like 200 farms within the M25 in London. Small community farms who do things as an educational side, but they will also grow things commercially for you. If you purchase it, they need money. They just take it off the government otherwise. Right, the other thing. This is the sort of thing that you can get in trouble for. Guerrilla gardening. I did this in New York and I got arrested. But guerrilla gardening is, again, you walk outside here, you're in a fairly derelict space, there is plenty of spare grass around and land. You can grow your own ingredients. You don't have to have a garden to grow stuff. You can use somebody else's garden to grow stuff. You can use somebody's derelict land to grow stuff. You go out there with a bag of seeds, make a note in your mind where you planted something, go back a few months later, and your plant will have grown. Plants do that. That's what they're designed to do. We just have to sow the fucking seeds. So you go out and you guerrilla garden. You are improving the neighborhood. You may get arrested doing it, but you will generally have the local support for doing it. Something like that looks 10 times better than a derelict shopping trolley in a canal. Go and grow something. Grow weird things that you can't buy in the supermarket or off your supplier. So again, let's go back to what you grow. That's a borage flower. As I said, you could not buy borage in London 4 years ago. You can now get it from most people. It grows like a bloody weed. You can't stop it growing, but you need to ask somebody to grow it. But it was the traditional garnish for cups and pims. This one. Yes. Borage. Yeah. B-O-R-A-G-E. Borage. And when pims launched in America at a certain point in the 1920s, they gave packets of seeds out with pims, because that was your traditional cucumber note. So when you get it, it has this really nice cucumber note to it. Plus, it looks fucking beautiful. Oh, the wrong way around. Let's go forward. So again, if you're going to grow something, or you're going to go plant something out in the guerrilla gardening world, if you want mint, we can all buy a certain genus of mint. Everybody's mint around the world, generally, apart from Cuba and a couple of places like Mexico, tastes the same. So if you're going to grow it, or go through the effort of going to guerrilla garden it and plant it, or ask your farmer to grow it for you, don't ask him just to grow normal shitty mint that you get in the supermarket. Ask him to grow one of the weirder varieties. So you should probably now, at the moment, have a drink that tastes slightly chocolatey in your hand. I don't know quite what drinks you're on now. That has been made by making a mint tea, but out of a genus of mint called chocolate mint. And it tastes distinctly of mint and chocolate. There's no chocolate in that drink other than the flavor of the mint. So you've got a drink that tastes incredibly chocolatey. It's very, very easy. You cannot stop it growing. It's dead easy to grow. So ask somebody to grow it for you, or grow it yourself in your window box. You can grow it inside your bar. It will tolerate fairly dark conditions. That's the drink you are drinking there. The only bit that's chocolate in there is you see there's a bit of dash of chocolate bitters. But otherwise, no chocolate went in that drink. It's just the chocolate mint. And you make basically like a tea, add the chocolate mint, you sweeten it up, you add the dilution in there as well, you leave it, and then you just add the, then you just add the Altos Reposado to it. This is the herb that you had in amongst the first drink, the pine one with the apple. And this was another drink that, again, a herb that I was desperate to get in England, and it's not a native in England. It needs a slightly warmer climate than England. But if you go back to William Terrington, you look at his version of a gin smash or a whiskey smash, what makes a European whiskey smash or gin smash different to the American was it is a combination of mint and either lemon balm or lemon verbena. This is lemon verbena. It has this lovely lemongrass note. The other thing is pine. Pine contains some of the chemicals, the terpenes and the lipenes that you get in citrus. So if you don't live in a country like Greece, which has citrus occurring naturally, you can find substitutes. Very young pine tips like those are incredibly citrusy and incredibly fragrant and floral and acid-like. So you basically can use those. They're incredible. There was a revelation about 4 years ago when I went to Nome where he basically did a pear juice that had that through it. That was as though he'd stuck a load of lemon in it. It was incredible. So that's the little pine one that you had earlier. As I say, layering flavors of apple upon each other, and then you just add this citrus note via the herbs. This is something that, if you want to have a little taste of it, there's going to be a funny yellow-looking drink come out to you. Now, if you live in Denmark, Sweden, Norway, or in Britain most of the time, and it comes to the winter, and you want to be seasonal, and you want some fruit, you're a little bit screwed between November and February, generally. There's not a lot of fruit going to be harvested, apart from this weird fruit. This is called sea buckthorn, or havtorn, in the Nordic regions. It was actually planted all over Europe. I've got a few little bits of it here. It's a foraged ingredient, and it has these incredible little yellow berries. And Neolithic man ate these, so when they do excavations of Neolithic men, they find these things as this highly huge source of nutrition. But what's also great about them is, again, they have this citrus note to them, so they're full of acid, but they also have a slightly passion fruit tropical note. And they will stay on the bush from now, so that you can harvest them in Denmark now, and they'll be there till March next year, because they have an incredibly waxy skin, and they just literally sit on the bush. And you basically go along with a comb, you pull them off, and you either decide to freeze them at that point and then let them thaw so you get the juice, or you just press them straight away. They're highly revered in Russia, highly revered in China. They're starting growing them industrially in Germany and in America now because they're so good for you. So yeah, that's another one that is a freebie if you're in Northern Europe. And it's just a really nice alternative to citrus. This does have a little bit of citrus in it. The citrus in this is actually used to sweeten it. So this has got some clementine juice in it, which is actually there to sweeten these up, which is very rare that you use citrus to sweeten. There's a little recipe for you again. As a little nod to Denmark, there's a tiny amount of licorice syrup. Licorice is incredibly sweet, and that's just made simply by boiling licorice down and down and down. There's a great person in Denmark who does that. Right, something else that you often overlook, and these definitely grow here, rose hips. Rose hips were used in the Second World War as a source of vitamin C. In fact, the government put out handbooks encouraging people to go out and make rosehip syrup. And I remember, I'm pretty old, I do remember having rosehip syrup as a kid with orange juice, but it was fake orange juice because oranges were expensive, but rosehips were cheap. And so we had rosehip. And I've made you a final drink, which has got some rosehip in it. There's the recipe for rosehip cordial. It's a little bit labor-intensive, but you end up with this hugely flavoursome, slightly tropical flavour. You do have to be fairly careful with it. You need to keep filtering it because you get those little fibres in there that can stick in your throat. So you need to filter it carefully. But then you end up with this wonderful syrup. And I combined it with a very much a native Nordic ingredient, which is lingonberry, which has huge amounts of a product called benzoic acid in it. Benzoic acid is actually antibacterial. So if you pick these fruit and you add a couple of bits of sugar to it, you can leave them for months and months on end, and they will naturally preserve themselves. No bacteria will grow on them, and they have this sweet and sour, slightly bitter note to them. And that's got the lingonberry in it. Again, with all these drinks, you'll notice that most of my time, and I say it's my time, is spent in the kitchen prepping something to which in the bar I add very little. Because again, I'm slightly bored with this fascination of bartenders making everything from scratch, picking up 17 different bottles and adding a dish of this and a dash of that, when most of it you can do in advance. And if I'm going out into a field to pick something, or I'm going to see my local farm to get something, I want to get that ingredient, use it straight away, and then serve it straight away. So I don't want to be pissing about with bottles of this and bottles of that. So you basically make a base of something, and you add something to it. And try and simplify your service. So everything I brought over from Denmark this morning, ready-made. Everything is pre-prepped. Everything should be really quick to serve, and very, very easy to serve. No fanning about. Oh, and there you go. Look, end of slideshow. Fuck. I didn't realize that was where it ended. But yes, go out and start foraging for things. Go out with new eyes, looking for things. I actually did some research. I don't know very much about Greece. I haven't been here for 28 years, so I apologize for that. And thank you for inviting me this time. But it is current here. People are foraging here. There are foragers' websites out there that get you products in Greece. There's one somewhere about 40 miles south-west from here.
Thank you, Nick.
Must have fantastic products. So yes, thank you. Go out there, buy locally, tell your farmers what you want, go out there, grow your own, and if not, go and steal it from a field, go forage it from the forest, but get new ingredients into your drinks.
Thank you. It was a great presentation.